Hello, my name is Jesse Brown, and I will be discussing institutional phrasing as well as dysfunctional relationships with how they relate to Kristoff specifically from The Truman Show. So, I want to start with the dysfunctional relationship with how Kristoff, the show's manager, handles Truman. Kristoff believes himself to be essentially the god of Seaport. He controls everything. He controls the weather, he controls who Truman speaks to, how Truman speaks to them. Even Truman's wife gets paid to have sex with him. I mean, it's not exactly a fun fact, but it's a true fact. But it comes to this point to where Kristoff acts a lot like a media conglomeration. Truman is not just a person to Kristoff. There is no love in the relationship between Kristoff and Truman. Kristoff sees Truman as nothing but a product, something to sell, to keep trapped in a gilded cage. This leads into the idea, the desire to keep Truman in Sea Haven, because the only way that Kristoff can continue his show, to continue to pull the strings, is by keeping Truman trapped. This goes so far as for Kristoff to fake Truman's father's death to instill that fear of water into him so he won't leave. But when Truman finally does leave, and this quote stuck with me, the network producer, as Truman is almost drowning in the sea, the network producer tells Kristoff that we have to stop. We cannot do this anymore. He is going to die. The only thing that Kristoff responds with is he was born on screen. The entire relationship that surrounds Truman and Kristoff is one of obsessiveness, of the inhumanity of Kristoff no longer seeing Truman as anything other than something to push product placements onto the masses for. And this leads to the institutional phrasing. When you look at what Kristoff wanted Sea Haven to be, when you look at how he wanted his message to come across, the agenda that he wanted to set, Sea Haven is an idealistic paradise set roughly in the 1950s, 1960s deco art Americana era. However, this isn't indicative of when I believe the movie is actually set. It's set in the 90s, but it calls back to this idealistic lifestyle because that's what Kristoff wants. For all of the what would be a good word? For all of the obsessiveness that that Kristoff feels towards Truman, Kristoff truly believes, and he shows this to the viewers. He wants the viewers to have this, that it's a better life. He would rather Truman be trapped. Kristoff would rather keep Truman in this fake, entirely set up and staged fictional world, because that is what sells. That is the way his agenda is, how he has phrased the world to be.